Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Justice Conversation, right here on Usala Radio, with your host, Brian O'Neill and Luis Gonzalez.
Well, hello, folks. Welcome to another edition of Justice Conversations from the Ivory Towers of the Street. Dr. O'Neill and Luis Suave Gonzalez. And this program is brought to you by Westchester University. And I'd like to introduce our guest, Elizabeth Locke, and her husband, Anthony Locke. We're going to be talking about readjustment after serving time in prison. Anthony has been home now for 18 months. And his wife, who is a student at Penn State, psychology major. And they're going to talk together about the transition. And I guess you guys can also address whatever you want as far as the challenges of maintaining your relationship, through incarceration. And you can talk about some of those things too, if you wish. Anything you are comfortable talking about, we can go from there. I think I would like to see maybe some helpful hints about people facing similar situations coming out after a fairly long stint and being successful in the transition back to the world, and the world that it is pretty challenging right now in a lot of ways. Employment opportunities are limited for everybody because of coronavirus, and especially hits hard with people that have been incarcerated coming out of into that situation. So, first of all, Anthony, how long were you incarcerated?
17 and a half.
Wow. And were you guys married at the time Anthony went in?
No.
Okay. And how long have you been married?
Almost 9 years in February.
Okay. So you actually got married while you were still incarcerated.
Absolutely.
Did you meet on the outside or inside the walls?
On the outside. Through mutual acquaintance.
Oh, okay.
Hey, what is the feedback that's going on in there in the studio? I'm talking to the studio now. All right, because it's interfering with what we're doing. Thank you. Yeah, Doc.
Okay, so Elizabeth, you obviously were thinking about this for a while, about how you were going to manage this long term. Did you anticipate how challenging it was going to be for you both?
I anticipated challenges, but he'll tell you that we take it day by day because there's new triggers and new things that we didn't plan on, but we did plan.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of thought and preparation for his release.
Okay. So, Anthony, since you've been out, have you been able to find employment?
I had a job my first 4 days home.
And what was the nature of the job you got?
At UPS.
Oh, okay. Are you still working there now?
You think I'm not when I am?
And Elizabeth, are you a full-time student?
I am a part-time student, full-time for the Commonwealth Workers' Comp Board. I work for a commissioner.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I'm a full-time student, a part-time employee.
So, Anthony, where are you going to school?
I go to school at Hack.
Okay.
I'll be graduating college next year with associates.
Oh, that's great. Excellent. Did you start college classes while you were locked up, or was that afterwards?
I came home and went straight to campus.
Okay.
Yeah, I did the things I did. The ones that I did that was accredited. I did the paralegal course on Blackstone, and then I did Stratford Career Institute drug and alcohol certification, child psychology, business management.
So you're able to do all those things while you were still inside.
Yes, I was able to finance my education. Absolutely.
Excellent. So were these mostly were they in-person classes, or were they through like online, or I should say distance education kinds of things?
Hold on, let me. Is it? I'm trying to figure out because this microphone making this noise. I don't know where it's coming from.
Yeah, it might be your mic or your sound. You might have to turn it down a little bit.
Let me. Let me try to find that. All right, now this is the problem. I'm trying to find that because I'm looking at the button on top of the screen. Does it sound better now?
Nah, it's you're hearing the reverb.
Yeah, I don't hear that on my end coming out my computer. It's coming, Poop. I think it's coming out your computer when I talk.
Are y'all in the same room?
Yeah, should I go in another room?
Yeah. That's what it is. There's two devices on the same room.
Okay, just a second.
Yeah, because I'm actually in the dining room and she in the living room. So so.
I'll be off in the room. No problem.
Is it the same now?
Yeah, it's getting a little better, I think.
What about now?
Yeah, it sounds a little better now, I think. So Anthony, we were saying about, I was just curious about the classes you took. Was this in-person classes, or I mean professors, or was it with some sort of correspondence?
Correspondence course.
Correspondence courses. Okay. All right.
So let me say, how much time do you serve, my brother?
17 and a half.
17 and a half. Like I said, welcome home.
Absolutely.
I served 31 and a half myself up in Grattisford. And one of my questions for you is coming home, straight home, and getting yourself in a relationship. What are some of the hardship that we people coming home should be looking for? Because a lot of the time we come home and we want relationship, we want the family structure, but we've been away for so long that we don't know how to deal with them type of stuff, the pressure that comes with it. How is you dealing with the pressure of being in a relationship with a wife, house, bills, and just being fresh? I've been home 3 years, right? And I'm just beginning to feel like I'm free after 3 years.
Hey, listen, that's a hell of a question right there. Because I just had this conversation, not with just my wife, but somebody else. It's no explanation you can give nobody, bro. You put 31 in, and you know this. Making that transition from the penitentiary is very, very hard. Because coming home, you be jaded. You be stuck within yourself. Majority of my time I did was in solitary confinement. Where's I found my solitude at? But when I came home, I tried to call my wife and tell you, my wife worked for the commissioner. She could see me out her window. My job at UPS is not too far from hers. I stood on the corner for a half an hour, bro, because I was scared to cross the street. Being as though the traffic was moving so fast and the lights in the cars, and my wife was like, "Do you want me to come get you?" I said, "No, let me figure it out." I stood there for a half an hour. When the light turned green and I had a good break in the street, I just ran. And it's crazy to say that. Now, dealing with the family structure, I always had that growing up. I had a loving grandma, support and everything, but I never had a relationship. Like in the streets, I had a lot of money. So I was accustomed of just doing what I want to do. Wham, bam, I'm out of there. So I never had to put no structure into it or take nobody's feelings in consideration. When I first came home, it was trying because you got to curb your enthusiasm. Like it's a team effort. You can dictate if you want to, but it's not going to work the way you want to. So having a wife is a good thing because at nighttime I had somebody to talk to. I had somebody to understand my struggles and going what I'm going through. But on the same token, coming out of jail, you see different women. You see different little situations. Oh my God, if I wasn't, oh damn, well, people hitting on you, little things like that. So it was different. And being away for so long, society done changed so much. Like this computer thing I'm dealing with y'all, this was a challenge. Going to school, learning how to use Zoom because of the pandemic killing you. Like it's different. And anybody that come home and say they got a blueprint is lying. This you know. Even when I had a job, my wife would tell you this. My supervisors would call me Locke by my last name. And I snapped on him. Stop calling me that. My name is Anthony. Psychologically, I didn't know institutionalized. You notice how they address you by your last name. So that triggers something in me. Wait, stop calling me that. Like I got a first name. So that transition was different because I got fired for the supervisor, the head dude that run UPS. I explained my situation to him. Like I have a name. I don't want to be called. He gave my job right back and everything. I was fired for 15 minutes. And my wife said, no, that's how it is in the workforce. People call each other by their last name. That's regular things in society. By you being in jail so long, I'm so programmed. I had to deprogram myself. Like, even when she wanted to celebrate my birthday, I'm telling her, like, I don't want no card. You ain't got to buy me nothing. But that's the jailhouse mentality. Oh, birthdays don't mean nothing to us because we're incarcerated. You got to really deprogram yourself to make it out here. So it was a struggle within a struggle. Like, I don't feel no normalcy yet either. I've been home for 18 months, almost 19 in a couple of days. I'm just learning how to accept life. I'm learning.
How about you, Miss Elizabeth? What adjustments you have to make in your daily life to accommodate Anthony and his presence at your home on a day-to-day basis? That because before, the relationship was visiting room, phone calls, and it's a different relationship, going to see somebody for 10, 12, 13, 14 years in a prison than having that same person that you used to see in the visiting room eating food from the vending machine. Now you home, now you got to cook. Now you got to go work, cook, probably take care of the kids, walk the dog. It's a different routine. And different routines bring different stress. So how are you dealing with that in your daily life?
Well, the good thing is that me and him had prepared somewhat. We had discussions. We had a game plan. He's going to work on those classes, try to give him to take off some of the stress to be able to find the job. I had a plan to try to find a home, which I did. We kind of worked together before. And then when he got out, of course, when I picked him up, ask him, he'll tell you, I was paranoid. I'm like, oh my God, I'm bringing this man home. He's like, calm down, calm down. I'm like, holy cow, now I got somebody sleeping in my bed. You know what I mean? So it was a stress, even though, everyone thinks, oh, he's home, my baby. I don't care if you met him before, after, during day, or were incarcerated. The effects are the same. They have to deprogram. So yes, it was challenging, but we always grounded each other and have a conversation. Sometimes we had to step away for a minute because he has to process, I'm processing. Yes, they forget that we have to process too, but we always stuck to our script. What do we need to do? Okay, we got to get the game plan. We found the job. He needed the technology. That would take the stress off, even though it was stress starting. He'll tell you. Now he sees the benefit of the communication, the technology, everything he's learning in school that's going to benefit him for better opportunities, and the medicals. We had a game plan for that. And then I took time for myself, whatever it is that I needed to do, whether it go walking, whatever. We have to defuse, but then we have to stick to our plan. And then we come together, we have some time to ourselves, but we have time to individually work on ourselves. But we come together and we stick to the script and try to work in it. But there's times he needed his space, I need my space to work on ourselves. And we constantly take it one day at a time and keep to the goals. Then we might have to reassess. Okay, we had this problem. We got to work on this. What do we do? And we ground each other. Communication is key, understanding and patience. And you constantly have to stay on that course and know that it's a new journey. We never came in it like, oh, la la fairy tale. We happy, like you said, he got a partner, but it's an adjustment. I had to learn his habits. He had to learn mine. Okay, are we cooking dinner or what are we doing? We had to, what's your role? What's my role? How do we work it together? So that's something you create, but you have to have a patience and understanding going in. So I think we did pretty good, and we're constantly evolving. and I'm happy with I'm pleased with that. But it's work. You gotta be willing. But he'll tell you he had to be willing to accept all that. It could have went whole different ways. People make excuses. Bottom line, he had to want that within. You know what I mean? So I
So,
think we do good communication.
so before I pass it on to the host of the show, Dr. Brian O'Neill, I want to ask you one last question. Have your family been supported in having Anthony presence now, and vice versa?
That's complicated. Um, I don't really have a lot of out extended family, so it's my grown children. And yes, they've been supportive before he got in. They were there for the when we got married while we were in. They respect, all they wanted to see was success. And my grown son works at UPS too and says, Mom, I mean, he laughs because he calls me my wife. I call him husband. We don't even call each other Elizabeth or Anthony unless we're talking to people. We have our little thing, my wife, husband. And my son says, You guys have your disagreements, you work through them. I would be worried if you didn't, because you see that a lot. Oh, no disrespect to the people, but it's not a fairy tale. I'm happy. We're making it, but we're putting in the work. You know what I mean? So we're working on the goals together. We're respecting each other. We're learning each other. We're growing together. My son and my daughter, everybody notices it and they comment. They're happy that they see real. You know what I mean? But we're putting in the work. You know,
So where do you see you guys? Where do you see yourselves a year from now?
both of us are graduating next year, so
Hmm.
he will have his associates. I will have my bachelor's, and we have plans. So I mean, it's a blessing that Luis contacted me because I always network, and you never know. I want to be able to. We have plans to have. He's working on a book here and there. He wants to put out, a powerful tell the story book because it was a journey. Then we want to do like a podcast, and we want to plan things to advocate, teach people awareness. More awareness has to be for the guys how to get the accountability, prepare for this, and then the family members. There's not enough of that goes on. It's usually fairy tale, whatever, and then more people will succeed. I think coming out, having more
Sure.
tools. So I'm
So,
grateful that he messaged me. It was like meant for yesterday.
so what kind of book are you trying to put out, Anthony?
One thing about me, I'm real candor. And like I say, everything when you first when I first came upstate, it was July 8th, 1998, the first time before they let me go by accident. And then I went home, do what I do. When I first came to Greatest Ford, the first thing you've been to Greatest Ford. You know what my transition was when a lady asked me, just in case you don't make it out of here, where you want your body sent? I said, damn. Like, I said, damn. Like, wait, what did you just say to me? She said, baby, it's not guaranteed you'll make it out of here alive. I said, oh, that right there is what hardened me. I grew up in the gym boxing. I'm real nice with my hands. I'm from North Philadelphia. We got Joe Frazier's right there, champs, Bernard Hopkins and them. So I was in the gym as a young age, but I was 5'2", 137 pounds. And Greatest for a receiving room, dudes come down there 250. It's different. So it was a different culture shock. Then I wound up going to Western. Part two of Greatest up there, Eastern and Western. Western was a jungle. So I'm gonna I tell people, matter of fact, listen, we men, so we can't curb our enthusiasm. Dudes in jail get raped. Whenever back when I first came through, it was rough. Dudes in jail was getting extorted. So I'm gonna get a raw and uncut version of that. It's called The Bane of My Existence. How I made the transition from a boy to a man. Because when I came to prison, my guns was at the door. I either had my hands or dude told me you better get a knife. So you don't tell a kid that. Like when a lot of kids come through, they be wondering why you be going to RHU or why you stabbing somebody, why you doing something. Them people come to your cell to shake you down. People come to your cell for other things. Like it's crazy, and you've been the greatest for it. When I got certified July 27, 1995, Greatest Ford was getting that shakedown between 95 and 96. And I met Looney Williams and all them dudes when they was transferring them out because they was transferring people to court when I was going there for Norristown State Hospital and Greatest Ford. And it was a different world. Like you was dealing with men. And a lot of people don't understand the hardship that you're doing there. I could bake a cake and make a pizza with a stitching cord and a pair of nail clippers. Like, people don't understand. We was in there surviving. So,
The
whenever you're
shakedown.
ready to publish the book, give us a call and we will help you push it. And but I think that this conversation is important, right? Because often we come home and people see us and they think, oh, they making it. You adjusting well. You know, you're doing a radio show. You're doing this. You're in the art galleries. You're doing, you know Dr. Brian O'Neill, which, by the way, Dr. Brian O'Neill is one of my supporters and one of my mentors. He was my professor when I was going to college at Villanova in the prison. That's how I met Dr. O'Neill. And even after the class was over, I don't know what happened that he decided, you know what, I'm gonna stay in your life. And he stayed in my life all the way till I came home. And he's still in my life. And he's like one of the guys, he's like one of the only people that I know that I feel safe calling at any time of the night for anything, even if it's just to say, hey, Doc, I forgot this. He's always there. And, and it's always good to have someone they understand our situation, someone they've been in places where we've been at. Because not everybody been inside the Grattisford prison. Dr. O'Neill been inside Grattisford prison. Not everyone been inside of Western Penitentiary, especially when you young, coming through the system. At that age, it was do or die.
Ain't no in between.
I came in the system in the 80s, like Anthony said, people was getting raped, people was getting killed. And you either act out in a way that you normally don't, or you be the victim.
Ain't no doubt.
That was just how it goes.
Ain't no in-betweens.
So I understand where you're coming from, right? I understand that coming home, we still had them reservations, right? But what I want to tell you is this, brother, that you survived. You out here now. Your story can change someone else's life, right? And the way we act in the workplace, the way we communicate with people in society, is not the way we do it in the prison system.
Not by far.
And a lot of the time, we come out here thinking we got to figure it out. We got a blueprint, and we end up doing what you did. Don't call me by my last name. That's not my last name. Right? Because in the prison system, you don't even get called by your real name. You either get called by your number or some nickname that somebody gave you in the jail, right? Me and him could be doing time, and I probably would never know his name is Anthony. I probably call him something else. Who's Anthony? I don't know. Oh, I know him by this, because that's the way it goes. And those are lessons that we learn out here, right? They could cost us dearly. Like you said, you was fired for 15 minutes. Thank God you got your job back. Other people don't have that opportunity, because when you go into prison, they give you a handbook with every policy in the institution. When you come home, you don't get a handbook. You don't get a handbook to adjust to society. So this is the importance of this conversation. You home, you studying for your degree, but at the same time, I tell you, bro, slow down. Right? It's about you. You don't owe nobody nothing. You did your time. You served your time. The only people you owe anything to is your wife. It's the people that stuck with you for them 18, 17 years you did. It's the people that was in the parking lot when they opened that gate and said, go home. It's the people that was willing to cross the street with you when you was there. Those are the people you owe. You don't owe nobody nothing. Don't let society pull you here. We want you to speak here. You owe it to the community. Nah, you're doing what you're doing for yourself and your family and to grow.
Anthony, how old were you when you went in?
I was like, I think when I went up top, I was like about 22, 23.
Yeah.
Fresh, man. It's fresh.
Yeah.
And it's hard, man, because like I was telling Doc before, I've been home November 20th of this month will be 3 years. and I'm just feeling free. I'm just feeling like, oh, okay, this is what it's like. Because for 2.5 years, everything I've done was to impress other people, to fit in. You know, like I don't want you to think that because I was in jail, I'm not qualified for this job. So I'm gonna do it so you can see, oh, you're doing a great job, Mr. Gonzalez. Now it's like, nah, I'm doing it for me. If it ain't about me, I can't please nobody. You know, I gotta please myself first. And those are lessons that you're gonna learn, as you adjust. 18 months, man, it sounds like a lot. It may look like years, but trust me, it's fresh.
But but see, the irony of what you said is I already followed the blueprint. And for prime example, everybody that was in my life that meant nothing, I removed them from the equation. You know, when you keep people in your life and you harbor a lot of animosity, you become toxic. You become self-destructive. Even my job, I'm gonna use that first scenario. That first scenario was nothing but with respect because I'm working in a warehouse and I let them know this is not a Fortune 500 company where as though we got suits and ties on. Everybody in here dirty all the way down to management. We putting product out to the community. It's a way of talking to people, first and foremost. I've been offered, my wife would tell you, I've been offered the supervisor position a couple of times, but I told myself I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready to dictate or tell nobody to do nothing and when them little kids get smart with me. I'm not ready to handle none of that yet because they are so disrespectful there. The other day, a while back, somebody told somebody to suck their dick at work. I literally just put my head down. You know where we came from. You tell somebody that, you know what happened to them. You know what happened to them. So I'm saying, damn, this society, you young guys don't know what's going on. One thing you don't never tell a man is you don't tell no man to suck your private part, and you don't be spitting on people. When you spit on somebody, you let that person know you have no respect for them. So when a person react differently, you deserve everything that happened to them. So I see that at my job. So what I had to do is remove myself from the equation. I found a position where I'm comfortable. I'm by myself. They gave me everything I wanted. So because I just had dual surgery, they gave me light duty and everything. So I stayed away from the rhetoric because I know I was you before, but I wasn't as reckless as y'all. I knew what came with the things that I did. So I'm willing to go the distance. Y'all's not willing to go the distance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go that way. That was the first growing pain. The second time, like I tell you, dude gave my job back because he respected. Here it is. I'm old enough to be this dude father. Don't play with me. I'm not a kid. So I came to him with the respectful thing. But then the other way, I can go the other way too, because it is what it is. We men. Don't play with me. Don't never talk to me. So the manager told me, no, he get his job back because out of respect, if he asks you to call him by his name, I'm not doing nothing wrong. My name is Anthony, nothing else. I'm not your friend, your kid, your play think, none of that. Yo, none of that. Give me what I give you. Respect. I get that around everywhere I go. Any issue I got, my wife will tell you, they call, dress, I work overtime all the time, everything. I'm good. They help pay for my schooling. You know, they pay for some of your cut. You get $25,000 worth of money from them for part-time work. I work 40 hours like I'm overtime. They give me everything. So I'm moving up and I'm doing good for me and my family. We cool. The next thing I learned to do is I had a lot of family members that always like to take, but don't give. Always feels as though somebody owe you something. I did eons. I did over a decade in jail. Some of y'all never came to visit me, never sent me $1. I'm cool with that because you owe me nothing. I stand tall like City Hall. I put myself in there. Everything I did to go to jail, I did it. I'm not on nobody else's case. I'm not taking nobody else's situation. I'm not falsely accused. I did what I did, so I accepted it. I'm cool. But, because there's a but to this, we have nothing to say to each other. I'm cool with that. I'm never going back to Philadelphia. I don't live there. I started my life new with my wife out here. So I don't have to see none of you people. That was another blessing. I'm in a town where I know nobody. You don't know my name. If my neighbors speak and wave, I wave, speak back, and keep going. I use my back door to go to work, and I mind my business. So my whole time been home, been nothing about me, but growing me. I had a lot of medical problems. You know, in jail, we get subpar medication. I had caught a blood clot on a humbug because I had told my attendant playing basketball, working out, not knowing. And I was doing a forklift cast. I was doing a paralegal, and I wasn't running around because it was cold out the time. So the medication I get because of the shorts I got cost $720. That little shit they gave us in jail cost $1.20 Coumadin. I could have got rid of this blood clot eons ago when I was in there instead of bringing it home with me. You dig what I'm saying? You know they don't give you surgery and they, oh, this cosmetic surgery. I got a hernia. My wife took me to get a eval at Hershey yesterday. Dude was gonna give it to me, but I told him, listen, let me finish peak season because we get double paid. Holiday time coming up, so they pay you major money at UPS to come in on your days off and all that. So in January, I'm gonna get my surgery and everything. It's a beautiful thing for having insurance. And then my wife got insurance. So I got primary and then I got secondary, which though we don't have to pay nothing. So I'm learning the rules of life, bro. And I tell everybody, man, like, I'm blessed. I have nothing to complain about. I am blessed. This is my second chance in life.
Well, brother, let me say something to you, right? And I'm coming from a good place, right? You have a lot of knowledge. You've been through a lot in the prison system. And right now you have an opportunity, man, to take them young boys that don't know and school them. You know, I know it's frustrating sometimes that we can say, I don't want to be part of that, leave me alone and all that. But at the same time, man, these are situations that you can school these young boys that maybe save their lives, right? Because they just don't know. When you tell somebody that, you know, suck your private part, we know what that does. We know what that gets you in prison, but they don't, right? And this is your opportunity, right, to grab somebody. They don't have to be on the spot. Later on, you know, in the conversation, yo, let me talk to you, young boy. What's going on? Da, 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 da. You know, that thing you said back there, you know, that thing could get you hurt, da, 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 and school that young boy. This is an opportunity for us, OGs, they've been in the system, to come out and educate these young boys, right? We owe that right there, we owe it to the young boys because a lot of them want to be like we were when we was coming up. Young, rugged, get money, don't care about nobody, right? A lot of us come from that. We come from that background, especially North Philadelphia.
No doubt.
We come from that background. So, you know, so I suggest to you, right, that whenever you feel comfortable, don't run from them young boy. I mean run like, man, I don't want to caught up with no young boy. You know, use your OG card, right, and school them. And I guarantee you, right, I guarantee you that when you do that, they will gravitate towards you. You won't even have to come and talk to, they will come talk to you. You know why? Because they will look at you as a role model because many of them don't have that father figure. Many of them don't have that in their life. Many of them looking at another young boy as they old heads. You know, since when an 18-year-old became an old head to a 17-year-old?
Ain't no doubt.
You understand what I'm saying? So whenever you feel comfortable, bro, and just do it, try it, bro, because a lot of them just need guidance, right? And you can offer that, not only in the job place, but in the community place. You know, you can establish yourself as the person, man, that's saving some of them young kids, because that's what they are, young kids, right? And I know it's a headache. We don't want to deal with it. It's a headache. I feel like that sometimes, right? But at the same time, right, I'm a community activist. I'm out in the community. I'm helping people get jobs, right? And trust me, I'm out there every week helping people get jobs. And some of these dudes are so disrespectful. I'm not working for $15. You know what I tell them? You can work for 18 cents. The lifestyle you doing. Because when they do catch you, you're going to be working for 18 cents or less. They be like, what you mean? And that's my door opens for them when they start talking about what you mean. This is what I mean. That when you get caught, you're going to prison for 10 years and you're going to be working for 18 cents an hour. If that. You know, so use that as an opportunity, right? To educate, man. You know how we did it in them libraries. You paralegal.
But that's what, listen, and that's what I'm saying. Because when I first came through, and you know this too, a lot of old heads were reluctant to deal with us when we first come through the penitentiaries, especially if we was wild and arrogant. And like I say, before the pandemic started, I was going to go to this gym because, like I say, a couple of dudes up there that was from Philly. So I know a few of them I can touch because I'm still good at basketball. I work out, lift weights and all that. When I go to Hack, we had a workout place there. A lot of them used to work out with me and play ball. So you're right, I can definitely touch a lot of them, but I got to get to the place where though I'm comfortable right now because at the end of the day, my whole thing was working on my physical, getting my surgeries out the way, helping my wife to get hers out the way, finishing school, and then I'll sit down and reevaluate and then put a game plan together. So I can talk to you, I can talk to Doc, I can talk to my wife. Y'all dealing with sensibility. Y'all dealing with common sense. A lot of people have sense that's not common. And again, being as though we came from, it's still fresh on my mind, whereas though I got to be defensive. And I don't never want to be defensive. So my way to cope with that is not communicate. Now, when it's time for me to articulate when I need something at my job or something, my verbiage is beautiful. I have a vast vocabulary, so I know how to express what I want, my views and concerns. But when it comes to idiocy, I know how to stay away from it because you know where we come from. It caused detriment. I had caught a lot of jailhouse cases because I feel as though I had to prove something to somebody that you trying to get over on me and talk to me. So I don't want to get that in my system. I still got that GER. It's still there, but it's starting to mellow out. And I don't want to deal with nobody.
A lot of the time, right? We in the prison system, and then I'm gonna pass the mic to Doc. We in the prison system. We don't deal with some of the trauma that we have suffered in the community. We push that to the side to deal with everything new in the prison system, right? Then we come home, we bring them baggage as well. So we think we don't, but we do because they show up in conversation, they show up in certain situations, right? So I suggest to you, man, like, and I do it. I suggest to you, right? Join a group. I'm gonna send you some information after the show, right? Where you could do it through the Zoom. Come visit. And if you like it, you can stay. And if you don't, you can bounce, right? But it's like a support group of man and woman that's been in the system. And some of these brothers and sisters been in the system 30, 40 years, right? So we meet every week via Zoom because we can't do it personally. And we just, we just talk. It's like a support group, right? And I don't want to call it therapy because sometimes people take the word, but yeah, I went to therapy when I came out, and I still go.
So did I.
And I still go. You know why? Because I realized that don't nobody understand you better than somebody that's been in the same shoes that you've been in, right? And it's always good to have that outside of the wife and the brothers and sisters. Always good to have somebody that understand where you coming from. A lot of the time, our immediate family don't understand what we're talking about. They ain't been there. So I'm a inbox you after the shows in case you want to come in. You're welcome to come in, right? But I say this to the audience that's listening. This conversation is important because it deals with the family structure. It deals with adjustment, with life after prison. Often, we don't see the effect of life after prison because we think he's home, he's free, he's happy, or she happy. And a lot of the time, it's not like that. A lot of the time, that's when the real work starts. That's when the real work starts, getting adjusted, especially when you move. You relocate from one city to another city where you don't know nobody and nobody knows you. We think that I'm gonna start fresh. At the same time, it's hard because you don't have that old pattern. You don't have them old friends. You can't call nobody. You don't know nobody but the person you with up there. And a lot of the time we hold a lot of that stuff in, and then when it blow up, it might not come out so nicely. I know it didn't for me. It didn't for me. And I don't want to get into my story, but I say this. A year to the day, I was home. I got caught up in a situation. In a bad situation. A bad relationship situation that I didn't know how to deal with. Because nobody ever told me when I came home, dude, you are not ready to deal in a relationship. I was a kid when I went to prison, right? And even though I came out at the age of 47, I was still that 16-year-old kid mentally. So I'm rolling as a 16-year-old kid in a 47-year-old man's body. And it caught up with me in a bad situation. Bro, that's another show, right? So this is why I say, right, sometimes we need that extra support. And I'm glad you making it. And Doc is on you, Doc. You the professional, Doc.
Well, I have a couple questions for both Suave and Anthony.
Doc, 1 minute, Doc. Let me grab my plug. My battery's going on right here, though. I hear y'all.
Okay.
Yeah, Doc.
I want to add something real quick before
Go
y'all
ahead,
start.
Elizabeth.
You know, there's a lot of stigma, especially when they're forced from the parole to go to therapy. They control it. They need more support groups, like what Luis said. They don't
Right,
have that. You got to take the
right,
stigma out. I got permission to have him go under my insurance, so he got to see the positive side of going to somebody outside, not that negative. They
right.
need more. We need more. This is why what you guys are doing is. I'm grateful that you messaged me, Luke. I'm so grateful.
Well, I also feel that we need more people out there to understand these issues. That it's not just bringing a person home; it's about having the proper health insurance to get the proper treatment. Because re-entering the community don't just mean I'm back. It also means that can I get the proper counseling that I need to really adjust? Because 1 year away from your community is like 10 years. In my case, I was away 31 years. He was away 17 years. There's a gap between us and the community. It's a 17-year gap. And now you expect this person to come out and function as if nothing ever happened? No, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You know why it's not going to happen? Because there's a gap in between 17 years that we miss. 17 years of growth that we miss. Even though we grow as man, even though we grow as human beings, there's 17 years of growth in the community that we miss. And we come out playing catch up, which is the dangerous part. So we need more people to be more considerate and say, you know what? When you come home, I'm putting you in my health insurance plan. So like that, you could get the proper treatment. Because I'm sorry to say this, people, when you come home, you can't get real medical benefits unless you have a good job. All the money to pay for it. A lot of us don't even know what medical benefits is. You come home, they give you that welfare card, $190, food stamp, and some Medicaid. That's not medical benefits. I'm talking about where you could go get the proper treatment to deal with the trauma of incarceration. And we need more people like you, Elizabeth. They say, you know what? That's my brother, that's my cousin, that's my boyfriend, that's whoever. I'm gonna look out for that person. Yeah, Doc, you had a question.
I just want to remind everybody too that you're listening to Justice Conversation on USALA and with Dr. Brian O'Neill and Luis Suave Gonzalez, and we're joined with Elizabeth Locke and her husband Anthony Locke, talking about transition from incarceration. And for Suave and Anthony, I wanted to ask you about services offered by the DOC, Department of Corrections, for people about to be released or leading up to release. I know there's some attempt to offer some programming to help with that transition, but I'm sure it's woefully short. And I was wondering, what would you recommend, each of you guys, what could be put in place while people are still in, maybe leading up 6 months, 3 months before they get out, that might give them a little bit more preparation to what they might be dealing with? How can the DOC do a better job of ensuring success for people once they get out?
Well, let me start that off real quick. I think that the DOC programs are antiquated. They don't prepare somebody to function in the 21st century. They really don't. I also think that we need more pre-release programs that deal with the individual a year before he or she will make parole, right? And give them the right information that will make them successful on day one. On day one. We don't have that right now. The DOC will let you go into a program, take a computer class, but you can't get on the internet. Computers are antiquated. They still have manual typewriters in the prison. Who does that out here? Like a lot of people that's been in prison for decades don't know that resumes are not done on paper no more. Everything is computers and files, right? You apply for a job online, not an application. These is little stuff that for people in the community, they're like, oh, okay. But for the people inside that's been away for decades, means a lot. Like a lot of people in the inside don't know that in able for you to get a real job, you got to have a bank account to get your direct deposit. They don't know that. They don't know that. Nobody knows that you can't get an apartment in certain neighborhoods, in certain zip codes, if you got bad credit. You can't get a good place to live. A lot of people don't know that if you've been away for 10, 20 years, your social security become deactivated. You gotta activate it again. That means you don't exist in the system. So when you come home, you thinking I'm gonna apply, your social security is deactivated. It don't work. A lot of people don't know that. These is stuff that we need, and this is why we need a good pre-release program. They could take that individuals and say, you know what, for this 1 year, you're gonna learn how we do it day to day. Even if we have to do it with some virtual reality glasses or something, but we're gonna walk you. We're gonna show you how to cross the street. Because he's not the first one. It happened to me. I got panicked crossing the street. I caught a panic attack going to Macy's. I had to get the heck out of there. The first time I went to Macy's with one of my supporters, I was shaking, I was sweating, and it was December, snowstorm, because I was scared being around all them people. And although I come from a place which is Gratisful, where we had masses of people on the block, it was different because in my mind, one of these people is gonna set me up, put something in my bag. These are real things that happen when you come home after decades. So we need a better reentry program, pre-release program.
Would it help to have people that have been through the system be the teachers in such a program?
Yes, because they will understand what I was going through. My supporter did everything that she could, but she never been inside a prison. She understood, but she never been inside a prison. And there's certain things that I would never discuss with somebody that's never been in prison that I would discuss with a brother that's been in prison. Because he will understand what I'm talking about. And not and I don't have to fear of him judging me of what I'm saying. It's on you, Anthony. Yeah.
Yeah, good, Anthony. Anything you want to add that Suave was talking about that would have helped?
Well, my take on that is similar, but it's a lot different. First, let's start with the individual. A lot of people don't want nothing in life, and I'm sorry to say it, man. Like, I've been in the penitentiary. A lot of people think they deserve something, like their hands call for something that you're not earning. So I understand that when you're on the streets, you run the streets the way you want to. You out there hustling, you hustle the way you want to. When you come in from prison, when you have nothing, and you got to depend on somebody else to help you get something, you got to show a person that you want it. And what I mean is, I've been in jail with, though I had sullies, because the majority of my time I was E-coded, because I was very problematic with police and inmates. So I liked it like that to be by myself. But the last 2 years before I was ready to come home, they told me I had to take a cellie. My wife is right there; she can contest to that. They said you had to take a cellmate to go ahead and get pro-social so you can get back into society. So I took a cellie. I had a cellie that was so cool. He knew every Jay-Z song, but he couldn't read. He asked me to read his mail to him, and I looked at him like, I would be embarrassed to ask a man to read something that somebody sent me that took time out of the day to write me. I got to read it for you. No, I just looked at him and threw it back at him. And on top of that, you got to deal with people that have some sincerity, because I had to take a violence prevention group. And there was this woman in there, man, and that's not from North Philly like us, bro, and never been nowhere. Her time of life was deer hunting, drinking beer, or being in a Walmart parking lot at nighttime with her friends, just kicking it on the weekend. Mine is I'm in North Philly ducking bullets, ducking the police, ducking up the stick-up guys. So your socioeconomical status was different from mine. You look in the textbook says 1978. It was made in Pittsburgh. This textbook is not going to tell you how to deal with a bunch of African Americans here from North Philadelphia. So you going off a theoretical standpoint that they taught you in college, that curriculum is not the same as the things that you and I experience on a day-to-day life in North Philly to survive. So you got to bring somebody in there that it don't have to be the same ethnicity or nothing like that, but have a general understanding of the environment that I came from, dealt with people from the environment that I came from. One, that makes us attentive, means that we want to listen and pay attention to you, for one. Just like you said, and I tell my wife that, because she said, well, problem with me not communicating with her sometimes about dark things, like you just said, bro. I'm not talking to you about nothing about prison because you've never been there. My wife is right there; she can attest to this. The same thing you just said, bro. I used to tell her that, but we not discussing this. You have no familiarity with nothing that I'm going through and why I'm feeling the way I feel. So again, that's another thing you have to address, dealing with people that have been in the same circumstances or experience the hardship that we went through. And it's hard for men like us to even want to discuss our personals. So again, you talk about the dealing with a therapist out here. People put that stigma on their mental health because when they told me I had to go see somebody, I told my wife, "What the fuck? Excuse my language. What the fuck is this?" She said no. So it was blessed that my wife had good insurance, and we was able to finagle our way to get a good therapist outside. Because you want me to see somebody from the DOC already, you already got a stigma on me. I got the first thing you asked me is how I got 62 misconducts. Why was I stabbing and fighting? I was surviving. I came in as a kid. I had to make my own mark so I don't be a prey. I'd rather be a predator than somebody prey. That's not what I'm doing. So again, already you got the stigma on me. What you think you gonna dictate with me? So my wife finagled that, went around my parole officer and got me somebody on the outside that I could talk to. And after my first 3-4 sessions, we was rocking and rolling. Like I felt the comfortability because he wasn't judgmental to me. He let me speak and understand where I came from. We used to talk fantasy football. We used to talk basketball, football, boxing, and then we'd talk things like you just don't come in here with your paperwork. Well, why you do this? Or what's your family problem? Dudes like us don't want to talk about our family. We don't want to talk about none of that with somebody we don't know. You need that comfortability there. I'd rather talk to bro right here, and I don't even know him, but he been through what I've been through. He was in the trenches. So already my pain is his pain is my pain. We did the trenches together. I do 17, he do 31. It doesn't matter. We both did over a decade. So we already know once that 10-year mark hit, we all in. We already know how this shit go. So for you to give me somebody on the outside and tell them to dictate my livelihood, when I got locked up, the judge was already dictating my livelihood by the time they gave me. I go to the penitentiary, now I got COs governing my livelihood. I don't even know what my back of my, excuse my language, but I got to tell it as it is. I don't even know what the whole back of my ass look like. But every time I go in my cell, you want to strip me and make me bend over and cough. Every time I go on a visit, you want to make me bend over and cough. I'm going to a visit. You don't strip me going to the visit. You're supposed to strip me coming from it. But every time I look up, I felt degraded. So I got to deal with people that have been in my situation this around the outside because it's not going to work. So my solution is you got to find people like us.
Miss Elizabeth, any last thoughts?
One day at a time, have them discussions, have patience, give the person some space. They'll come back to you. I'm not saying to leave, but he knows when he needs to figure it out. I know, leave him be. He'll come to me, and then when he shares his thoughts, he's formulated or what he feels comfortable talking, and then we address it. Sometimes I'm just an ear when he's ready. And people on my end, they have to accept that. It ain't no, oh, but see, he'll tell you, I didn't come out, oh, waiting 2 days, my husband's coming. Now I was happy because it was an accomplishment, but I wasn't going to be on him in that way because you cannot. It does not work that way. They have to deprogram. They have to unwind. They have to unpack, and they have to reprogram one day at a time. And like he'll tell you, he's discovering, I didn't know this much affected me. So we, as the wives or the family members, you have to respect that because y'all can come stronger to have patience and understanding for each other. Then they can see you and they'll want to see you. We've just given each other that space to grow one day at a time.
What we
One
would
day at a
like to
time.
do, what we would like to do, because our show is about bringing awareness to issues like this. We think that these issues are important. What I would like you to do, if you can, is connect us with other wives, right? And we would like to do a show with just the wives, or the
Yeah.
girlfriends, or the boyfriends, or whoever, right? And have a conversation on how we could better understand the person that we're bringing into the house after decades.
They
Right.
need that.
We would like to do
They
that.
need that.
And if you could direct us in the right direction, we will appreciate that, because I think that these are issues that a lot of people don't want to discuss. And a lot of people don't know that a lot of relationships after prison don't
Fail.
last but a year. And you know why? You know why is that? Because we don't understand the person we bringing home, right? We really don't understand it, right? So I think that doing a show like this with the wives and girlfriends and boyfriends, mothers, daughters, sisters, right, to come in and have that conversation, we will hear that they're not alone in this thing. Because sometimes that person might feel like, I'm alone. Nobody understands, so we don't talk about this with other people. The same way he don't feel comfortable talking with somebody that never been in prison about certain issues, that's the same way mothers, sisters, and wives feel about that situation. They can't discuss it with nobody because they feel like nobody will
I
understand.
have a support group for them
So
privately.
we would like to bring that support group and just talk and have that conversation. Dot, any last
Yeah, I
take it
think
up,
it's an
take it home,
excellent,
Dot.
that's an excellent idea, Suave, I think, to do that. I think that's a
Take it
very
home,
good
Dot.
idea.
It's on you,
Future
Dot.
show. Well, I thank both of you folks for coming and sharing so much with us today.
I
Elizabeth and
appreciate
Anthony.
it. I
Thank you
Um,
for
definitely
having
appreciate
us.
It's much appreciated. Your candor
And
can go a long
again,
way.
I'm a DM you right after the show, with some information, right? And I just want to tell the people out there, man, what you're seeing here, this is not reality TV. This is real stuff, man. This is real people that's been in the system for decades and decades, and now we in the community trying to be part of that fabric in the community, you know. And if I tell you I want to be addressed by a certain name, respect that. If I ask you, right, for directions, then give them to me, right? But understand this, that all we seeking when we come back into the community is the same respect we giving y'all. We don't want nothing else. A lot of us don't want handouts. A lot of us don't want that. We want an opportunity to grow and to plant our own seed in the community, right? And maybe contribute to something positive. Don't treat me like a handout, because that is offensive. Don't treat me like, oh, he's just somebody that, no, treat me as a human being, because that's what I am. I pay my debt to society. I pay my debt to society. I really don't owe nobody nothing. So if I'm out in the community doing volunteer work, it's because I want to do it, not because I owe it to nobody. And that's all returning citizens want: an opportunity to grow, to help families, to maybe help some of the youth stay out of trouble. But please don't treat us like we are secondhand, because we're not. And with that, we want to thank our producer, Olivia. We want to thank Westchester University. You're listening to A Justice Conversation on Usala Media. We see you next week.